Now, breaking news that's coming in. This is hours after the United Kingdom vowed to back the United States against Iran. A news that we just brought to you an hour back. British base in Cyprus hit by drone strikes. This is very important what we are learning at this point of time. The RAF, the Royal Air Force Base in Cyprus, has been hit by suspected drone strike. As per the Ministry of Defence reports to Reuters, UK Prime Minister comes out to say British bases for US use against Iran. He has come out to say appalled by Iran's reckless strikes will destroy Iran's missile capabilities. This is now war, viewers, that's spilling on to the European countries, with the first hit being made on the UK airbase, the RAF airbase. That's what we are learning. Let's quickly listen into Keir Starmer before we proceed with more details on this very front.
The United States has requested permission to use British bases for that specific and limited defensive purpose. We have taken the decision to accept this request to prevent Iran firing missiles across the region, killing innocent civilians, putting British lives at risk, and hitting countries that have not been involved. The United States has
It's clearly spilling, and the countries have started to choose sides, and UK has chosen to back the United States in this war against Iran. And now what we're learning, that just hours after UK vowed to back United States against Iran, British base in Cyprus was hit by drone strikes. The RAF base in Cyprus was hit by suspected drone strike, and this is what the Ministry of Defence said. And remember, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer earlier said that the British bases are ready for the United States use against Iran, and that he's appalled by Iran's reckless strikes. And in fact, he also vowed that it will help US in destroying Iran's missile capabilities. And just hours after this announcement was made, just hours after this remark by the UK Prime Minister backing the United States in this fight against Iran, what we witnessed is that the British base in Cyprus was hit by drone strikes.
Very, very true, Anjali. And we have Pranay Upadhyay joining us on the broadcast. Pranay, you know, history has been proof. The minute Europe gets involved in such escalations, there is more to come. And that is what we see with this particular attack on the RAF base that's coming in. This definitely is not a sign of de-escalation, but what comes now and next remains to be seen, because European nations getting involved is concerning.
Absolutely, Shreya. If you see, the scope and the area of this conflict has already got widened. Now we are talking about Mediterranean as well, because in the Mediterranean, in the sea, in the Cyprus, where RAF has approached a base, they have also activated their batteries. They have also activated their aircrafts there to combat any or to thwart any drone attack from Iran, because there are reports that Iranian drones, tried hitting this RAF base, and this has not happened for the first time in this, in this last 37 hours of this conflict, but earlier as well. And you have seen how British Prime Minister Keir Starmer came to media, to cameras, and he said that we will join this conflict, and we will allow the American and the Israeli aircrafts to use our bases to hit out at the Iranian regime, to Iranian targets, especially associated with the IRGC, with the clergy. And in fact, this cannot be allowed to continue the way Iran is hitting out at various other countries and various other Western interests. So clearly, the scope of this conflict has already got widened, and now it's full throttle. And if you see the list of countries getting impacted, maybe probably a post-Second World War, this is the highest number of countries which are getting affected, because the way Iran is hitting out at various other countries, and in fact targeting various interests of the countries. If you talk about the Skylight and the Skylight tanker, In fact, interestingly, the tanker which was hit by the Iranian drone or maybe missile, we don't know from the Omanian authorities, but certainly we know that there were 15 crew members from India on board that aircraft on that ship, and in fact they were rescued by the Omanian maritime security authorities. In fact, that ship had also five Iranians on board. So clearly, they are hitting out left, right, center. They are hitting out at various, diverse interests, and in fact, they are not even spanning the residential, areas or the civilian areas. So this clearly shows that the Iran has already escalated it to another level. However, on the other side, if you see how Iranian cities are regularly being targeted by by the Israeli and the US aircrafts, and how the different platforms are being used, this is clearly showing that the US and Israeli militaries are not backing down. They are not giving any indications amid all these talks of so-called negotiations or indications or willingness to
Absolutely.
join the negotiation. But this is the ground situation.
Absolutely, Pranay. So the scope of this war is now widening, with the UK also now backing United States in this fight against Iran. Let's also take a look at the West Asia conflict zones, which are the countries where this war is now raging. This includes Israel, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia and Iraq. Now remember, these are the countries that are also allies of the United States, where the United States military bases are very much present. And just shortly after the joint strikes by Israel and United States on Iran, we witnessed there were retaliatory strikes by Iran, not just on Israel, but also in other West Asian nations, which included Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Iraq. And in fact, there were intense attacks on UAE, and the attacks still continue, be the international airport. In fact, Burj Khalifa was also not spared. There were drone attacks near Burj Khalifa. Five-star hotel was also targeted. In fact, high-rise buildings were also targeted in the West Asian nations. So what started as attack on the military bases of the United States in these countries then quickly escalated to attacks on the infrastructure where civilians reside. Also, in fact, airports were also targeted by the Iranian side.